For the first time in 15 years, an Australian leads the Formula One World Championship. Oscar Piastri has joined Jack Brabham, Alan Jones and his own manager Mark Webber to become just the fourth Aussie to top the F1 points table after winning the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But as the World Championship heads to Miami this weekend, can he hold his advantage? Hello and welcome to Speedcafe's preview of the Formula One 2025 Miami Grand Prix, brought to you by the Ford F150. Oscar Piastri is riding a wave of confidence after 3 wins out of the first 5 races this season. He has a 10-point advantage ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, while McLaren steams ahead in the constructors. And now this weekend, we head to a venue that started the charge of McLaren's dominance, really, where Lando Norris won his first last year. Norris broke his F1 duck in Miami last year, while Oscar was punted out of a strong result by Carlos Sainz, and finished only 13th. That race, by the way, was the last time that Oscar didn't finish in the points. He's on a run of 23 consecutive points finishes, and has seen the checkered flag in the last 33 Grand Prix. Mr. Consistent. Such consistency is his greatest strength, because he's always there to take the points. And now he has a car capable of winning championships and delivering wins, where he sees himself taking home big points every weekend at the moment. But can he do the same in Miami? You'd have to say, yeah, probably. The Miami International Autodrome has a bit of everything, really, with some sweeping high-speed corners to open up some really tight ones, and very complicated little technical sections, such as is the end of Sector 2. We know that McLaren is really good in high-speed and medium to high-speed corners, but maybe they might struggle a little bit in the slower sections. But considering where that falls in the lap, they should be just fine, with a massive straight to carry them off, heading into the final corner to wrap up the lap. So with that said, Piastri and Norris should, in theory, still have the upper hand. So if McLaren will be fast, yet again the question comes down to who will present the biggest challenge. Will it be the incredible Max Verstappen, or the metronomic consistency of George Russell? Or does Ferrari have something up its sleeve that will see it jump forward by that much needed half step? Verstappen was fast in Japan, Bahrain and Australia. 2 of those were quite cold though, evidently. But really there's overall not a whole lot of similarity between them. However, Miami is expected to be quite hot, and seems to lean more towards the Bahrain mold in terms of conditions and the track itself. So might he be fast? Verstappen's pace will heavily depend on Red Bull's ability to engineer the car into the right window. If it can do that, Max will be a factor. The threat presented by Russell seems a little less pointed, but perhaps more predictable. The Mercedes isn't an outright threat, but George has managed to wheel the W16 around to its fullest potential all season. So if McLaren misses the mark, and he does that just yet again, who's to say the Brit won't take full advantage?
5 races in, and we're starting to get a feel for exactly what the pecking order this season is going to be like. What's certain is the McLaren is the best all-round car on the grid. It's capable in all types of corners. The Mercedes power unit is solid. It's got 2 drivers that seem capable of winning the World Championship, and that's possibly going to cause it some headaches later on in the year. Red Bull, meanwhile, is beginning to understand its car. It's a tricky little beast, is the RB21. Liam Lawson saw that at the start of the year. It's got a narrow operating window, but they're working to open that up and make it just a little bit friendlier for the drivers to get on top of. We've seen that a little bit with Yuki Tsunoda as well, and there's more planned to just maximize that a little bit more. And as it does that, Max Verstappen is going to become more and more of a threat, because we know the Dutchman is just simply incredible. The relative strengths of the Mercedes, though, are a little bit harder to pin down. The George Russell has been consistent everywhere is really promising, but it's not been standout anywhere. But there's a good platform there, there's a good foundation. What can Mercedes do development-wise as the season wears on to really maximize those strengths? Ferrari has work to do. It's half a step behind the leading 3 teams. It's consistent, but not in the same way that Mercedes or McLaren are. On any given weekend, it really needs everything to go right to get the most out of that package. And Lewis Hamilton at the moment isn't offering everything that he can, because he's still coming to grips with the team, its way of working, and the nuances of the car. So that's a package that should, in theory, get stronger as the year goes on. But how much does it put into this year's car at the expense of next year's car, given the regulation changes that we've got coming? So what does all this mean? Well, if we turn the development tap off for every team right now, McLaren's probably going to win the World Championship, both drivers and constructors. But we're not turning the tap off. Each team has its own plan. When it does that, when it doesn't choose to do that, is going to be the real underlying story as we go into this season. We know McLaren had something in the works. What will it do? Well, we don't really know. On balance, it tends to hit the mark when it brings the upgrade packages. We've seen that over the last 2 years. A good package from Mercedes could propel it forward. Imagine if Mercedes is able to bolt something like McLaren did onto its car in 2023 and 2024, and suddenly George Russell is a serious threat. There's still a long way to go in the season. McLaren holds the upper hand. It's got a strong advantage in the Constructors' Championship already, but we saw it run down a bigger points deficit than this last year. So it's been done. The championship is going to swing back and forth. We've still got 19 races to go as we head into Miami this weekend. Thus far, it's advantage McLaren. But how long can it hold on to that?
Away from the very front of the race as well, there's still a lot to focus on. Last year, this event marked a very high point for Daniel Ricciardo as he marched the RB to 4th in the sprint, though he wasn't able to carry that pace on into qualifying and the race itself. In those, Yuki Tsunoda was 7th. So the RB was pretty handy around the Hard Rock Stadium last year, meaning can we look to the Racing Bulls for another banging performance this year again? I hope so, as that team is now known to feature quite well, and New Zealander Liam Lawson is very much in need of a good result. He has been driving well since he was bumped back down to Racing Bulls, but hasn't yet had the result to show for it. Neither has Jack Doohan. Sure, Alpine strategy has kind of left him out of hand, but again, it goes back to qualifying and having himself in the position to start that race well, and he hasn't been hitting the mark there, unfortunately. He just hasn't been able to get as much out of the car as maybe he could, because to be fair, the pace is there, and he has shown himself to be more or less on par with Pierre Gasly, but it's just a matter of unlocking that. And with a couple more quali sessions this weekend, it's a good opportunity to get a little bit more practice in and perhaps score that first World Championship point. But we'll see how that all unfolds as we head into the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. And as always, you can stay up to date with all of the news that comes over this weekend on speedcafe.com. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe and follow all of our socials channels so you don't miss a thing. We've got you covered all weekend, and we'll see you next time.